things Eskom crisis. So how is stage 4 load shedding affecting the tourism industry? Let's get you a full picture now. Tourism Business Council of South Africa CEO Tshepiwa joins us via our Skype line. Thanks very much for your time, Mr. Tshepiwa. I mean, if we're going on holiday, the last thing we want to deal with is a country without power cuts. I can imagine that the effect on the tourism industry must be massive.
No, absolutely. It does impact the tourism industry quite greatly. And it is something that, the tourism industry sort of prepared for, since the past load shedding that we had. I think it was in 2010. You would have seen that majority of, big hotel groups and bigger companies, were able to, go and purchase some generating units to generate their own energy, to make sure that, you don't have a big hotel, without power, because we can't afford to have that. When tourists come into this country, they have expectations. We sell them expectations. We sell them experiences. And if we can't deliver on those experiences, it becomes, a problem. It could even become a legal problem whereby tourists can start to sue us. So that's why we made those contingencies. However, there are still small companies that are still impacted by load shedding because they cannot go and buy those generating units. If you look at a small travel management company that is servicing, one or two accounts, they're trying to make a livelihood, electricity goes off, their phones don't work, they're unable to issue tickets or check whether, planes are available or hotels are available. So they're unable to do that. So it is problematic. Smaller B&Bs, same situation. If you go to a small town where electricity is gone, some of them cannot afford to buy generators. So it becomes a very, very much of a problem. But, we always try to make a bad situation, better in the tourism industry. So, we try by all means to package it differently and to make sure that, those that are coming into the country, can still have quality experiences.
So when you listen to the Public Enterprises Minister and Eskom executives as they were briefing the country just a little earlier, talking about as we stand today, we will have more answers for the country in about 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, these rolling blackouts continue. How does that make you feel, and how do you reckon your operators, big and small, will be dealing with that news today?
No, it means that, lots of operators will have to do without power, which is problematic. Those that have their own energy, they'll have to spend more money in buying diesel or fuel or whatever they are using to have power. So it is problematic. We like certainty. We like to know when the problems are going to be solved. And that's what we hope for in 2010 when we start to have those rolling blackouts. The fact that the situation is where it is today, it doesn't give us hope from operational point of view. So we know that we have to put in more money, and it will affect margins of large and small businesses. So it is problematic, and also more so, it's things that we cannot control. When people start to get on the bus and then we're driving them to the airport, if the lights are not working, they get to the airport late, it's going to become a big problem, and it's something that we will have to work around it.
Yeah.
As much as, in a smaller scale, we always say that if there's no electricity, we can sell you romance, and we can sell you authentic African experiences, but we need to have basic, electricity or basic energy to be able to do some delivery, to be able for us to cook, prepare breakfast, lunch or dinners, or any other things that the tourists would want to do, or even the domestic tourism. Someone has booked for a wedding in a hotel. If there's no electricity, the lights are not working, it ruins their wedding. So it is something that's quite important, and it's something that we hope that the authorities that are responsible, at Eskom and at government level, they can be able to solve this issue and give us certainty so that we can continue to sell South Africa, outside of the country.
Yeah, I believe that most South Africans are united with you in that hope that there will be a solution that is found, and quickly. You talked about the margins being affected in both small and large businesses, and of course we also can look at the effect on the country's margins. I mean, we rely in so many respects on that cash injection that we get from the tourism industry.
No, absolutely. That's why it's worrying us, because, once tourism, brings in, foreign, currency into this country. And it is, when you look at the tourism satellite account, we're bringing about 50 billion, rand into the economy. If you calculate the money that comes in and the money that goes out, we still have a positive trade balance. So when we start to have this issue of load shedding, and as much as we can sell it, and as much as we can try to convince our constituent to continue, the negative news that goes into the international market, it damages the South African brand, and people start to ask us questions. We've seen this with the issue of water in Cape Town. When all the international media and some of the local media start to talk about day zero, and also governments start to talk about, the shortages of water, people start to ask questions and say, then should we even consider coming to South Africa? Do you have water? And it's not only a thing where, when it was happening in Cape Town, they said, it's Cape Town, it's the whole of South Africa. So it becomes problematic. Thank goodness that we were able to come out of the situation of water crisis. Now we are in the situation where electricity is becoming a problem. And I hope and believe that the government will move speedily to solve this problem for the sake of all the industries that are involved, including the tourism industry.
Absolutely. Well, thanks very much for your time. That was Tifiwa Tibengwa, the CEO of Tourism Business Council of South Africa, talking about the effect of that 50 billion rand that tourism brings into the country, never mind the effect on brand South Africa as the Eskom crisis continues.